Hello guys, welcome back to the Writer's Tales with the Last Adventures number 35, Astronaut Vine. So this is sort of an interesting one to go on. Let's go through this. So, we're set on the starship, the M'Baku it's known as. And what the starship is, it's housed to many auctions over the how many centuries, like thousands of, well, multiple centuries, selling priceless items, of course, and, obtaining some of the weirdest stuff ever, really. And this annual auction indeed has quite a few celebrity faces over the time actually, but this year they've ended up with an actor, comedian, entrepreneur known as Channing Demario, who in a way is sort of a bit off the rails in a way, but has willing to host the actual auction himself and get a bit of cash out of it, get his share in some of the money, like doing the thing really, of course, like a celebrity hosting an auction, of course, getting paid to do it, that sort of thing. Obviously, this is what we get. The protagonists actually come on board, really. They end up, just accidentally coming on board because they were meant to be going to a costume party, so they're all in, like, again, like in fancy dress, really. Interestingly, for what I know, Pat is dressed like it's like an admiral, very much. That I'm trying to think who else. I'm trying to think on the top of my head as well. Like most of these people are just wearing like it's a costume party that they were meant to be attending to, end up at this auction, in deep space, of course, and it's basically mingling with everyone else really. So you basically just come on here, you know, enjoy the buffet, get to know people, have a nice drink and everything else, and we move on to the auctions, of course. Like, and now we have this lot and this lot and that sort of thing. But one thing that they actually obtained for the people that send the auction is cryogenic what do you call it, cryo cells or something like cryogenic pods, and inside them are actually reconstructions of crewmen or crew people, very much, who are from disastrous space missions. Of course, like the Challenger, Apollo 1, all these astronauts who have actually died and been have been killed doing this sort of takeoff. Really, like as originally planned, it unfortunately didn't succeed because they ended up being killed. Have been restored, and they're in cryo sleep. They are in these pods being sold to auction. Interesting. So they get wind of this and decide to investigate, really, to see what, it's something like that. It's like, really, it all ties in together with what has happened in one previous story, which I'll get to eventually. Some people probably know what it is if you've been following the series very much so far. So they end up meeting, of course, like with the sort of main people, of course, which are known as the restorers, who are basically they're like bandaged people in bandages with some weird glass things, of course, very similar to the ones like in End of the World with Cassandra's men who moisturize her, like her two manservants by her side, really, very similar to them lot, really, known as the restorers. It's kind of implied that they've done some interesting experiments on humans, really. Like we saw them, but done them differently as how they actually originally wanted before they died, really. So you can get some little bit of interesting backstory with that one, really. Obviously, they sort of it's hard to imagine how they managed to do it actually, but like the process of it, like how do you manage to get like someone who's basically been blown up to dead and blown to smithereens in fire and ashes, of course, but somehow you managed to get evil. They did get like a little strand of DNA from wherever actually. I don't know if it's from the ashes, from maybe a wreckage or something, or maybe from ash that has flown into the air and has actually went in the atmosphere for a bit and somehow managed to get there or something. It's it can be a bit strange for that one, but there we go. It's not very sort of presented how they actually are fully restored with full DNA and everything else. Channing Demario, of course, who obviously entrepreneur, comedian, actor, that sort of thing. He's just crazy, just wants money, of course, and builds up has a sort of like small, I would say, cocaine addiction, of course. Even though the drug in this one is actually quite different. It's like a something called, H3 QW or something like that. Some very strange, like some new drug on the block actually. You have like a little capsule where you have to snort it up, really. Rather than have like a line of powder, there's a little powder in a little capsule or whatever. You have to open the capsule and snort it, of course, so you get some amazing highs. And that just basically feeds his addiction, really. And he's absolutely off the wall, he is. And not only that, we've also got, in crystalline race known as the Crotons appearing. And supposedly they are working for Demario, strangely, like as his civil servants, bodyguards, really. Like, he's offered them something, and it's like they sort of go along with it, really. But, something that they've got within the auction that the Crotons are after, and they team up with this entrepreneur who thinks, I can get you it, sort of feed you in, of course. And a warpath starts, the Crotons to start killing all the guests, everything else, it's like, time for a massacre now. So yeah, quite an interesting one, of course, like as what it is. Obviously, you have the Crotons in this story, which is quite bizarre, but I didn't mind actually. You've also got Channing Demario as well, who's actually based on Matt Damon, actually, sort of shaving like a bald skinhead Matt Damon, he's very sort of chaotic, very similar to. I'm trying to think like the character. I think Patrick Swayze's character Donnie Darko, very much like a easy life coach, that sort. And it's like you basically get stuff like that, really. And and of course with stories as well, it does have a bit of a feel like for alien bodies, the Eighth Doctor Adventure by Lawrence Miles. It's always a similar thing, really, because go to an auction, it's the Doctor's. Well, in that story, the Doctor's corpse is sort of like a future self of him is actually being auctioned to many people, including a Time Lord, the Crotons, some weird dead corpse wandering around, and the faction Paradox as well. So there's quite a few strands going on there as well, like about there actually. So it does involve that sort of essence of alien bodies in there, but not so much. Like, it's just it has something completely different for what the main thing that they're after, what the main sort of crux of the story is. And actually, it ties in together with Strangers to the Ground, of course, because in that story, of course, you have like the Beatles and other 60s alumni in that story taking the place of the people from Apollo 1. So that sort of ties in with Strangers to the Ground, actually. So where's the crew then? In actual fact, they're in cryosleep in some ocean on a starship somewhere in faraway galaxy, whatever, and that's where they end up. So there you go. So it's basically like a sequel to Strangers to the Ground. Like, it just follows on from there, actually, from that little bit there. And there you go. And that's about it with Astronaut Vine. Thank you guys for watching. As always, see you for the next video, and bye-bye.